Chapter 1. The Pattern You Keep Repeating. Have you ever looked back at your relationships and thought, how did I end up here again? Different face, different name, but the same pain, the same dynamic, the same emotional roller coaster that you swore you'd never ride again. You leave one relationship thinking you've learned your lesson, only to find yourself months later with someone new who turns out to be just a remix of the last disaster. And after the third, fourth, or fifth time, a quiet question creeps in. Is it them, or is it me? Let me tell you something that might hurt before it helps. You're not unlucky, you're patterned, you're not cursed, you're conditioned by something much older than your last breakup. You see, most people don't choose partners based on logic, compatibility, or even love. They choose based on familiarity. Subconsciously, we are drawn to what feels emotionally recognizable, even if it's toxic, even if it hurts. That's why the emotionally unavailable person feels exciting. Why the person who actually treats you with respect feels boring. It's why chaos feels like chemistry, and peace feels like punishment. It's not your fault that you were programmed this way, but it is your responsibility to understand it, because until you do, you'll keep choosing the same soul in a different body. And the worst part? You'll think you're choosing freely. That's the illusion. We think we're dating with our eyes open. But really, we're just running the same emotional software, over and over again, trying to heal the original wound by repeating it. So here's the central question of this video. Why do you keep attracting the same kind of person, and what's the hidden psychology underneath it? Because once you understand what's really pulling the strings, you can cut them. You can stop mistaking intensity for intimacy. You can stop falling for people who feel like home, when home was actually unstable. And you can start choosing with clarity, not compulsion. But first, we have to go deeper. Back to the beginning. Because the truth is, the person you keep attracting is just a mirror. And what it's reflecting back isn't random. Chapter 2. The Invisible Script Running Your Life. You weren't born choosing chaos. You didn't come into this world craving people who confuse you, hurt you, or leave you guessing. That behavior was learned. Or more accurately, programmed. You see, every one of us grew up watching a movie, a silent, emotional one, about what love looks like. And that movie was made in childhood. It had no script, no director, and no conscious awareness. Just feelings. Just patterns. Just whatever love looked like in your house, however safe or unsafe it felt. That became your blueprint. If love meant chasing someone for attention, that became normal. If love meant pleasing others to avoid rejection, that became love. If love meant walking on eggshells, then comfort started to feel like anxiety. This is called imprinting, and it happens early. Before you could speak, before you had the language to explain pain, your nervous system was already forming associations. Love equals tension, love equals uncertainty, love equals proving yourself, love equals silence, withdrawal, chaos. Fast forward 20 years, and now you're out in the world, dating. But your subconscious is still holding the pen, writing the same script. It's choosing partners not based on compatibility, but based on recognition. You meet someone who gives you the same emotional climate you grew up in, and your body calls it chemistry. Not because it's good for you, but because it's familiar. And that's why you can be highly intelligent, successful, even self-aware, and still find yourself drawn to emotionally unavailable people, narcissists, or partners who echo the exact kind of hurt you swore you'd never accept again. Because your subconscious isn't looking for love. It's looking for resolution. It wants to finally win the love it couldn't get as a child. It wants to rewrite the ending, with someone new playing the role of someone old. But here's the trap. You don't get resolution from repeating the pattern. You get repetition. You get stuck. Attachment theory explains this further. If you grew up with inconsistent caregivers, you might have an anxious attachment style, constantly chasing, overanalyzing, fearing abandonment. If you were neglected or punished for needing connection, you might have an avoidant style. You crave closeness, but run when it shows up. And if your childhood was unpredictable, you may swing wildly between both. These attachment styles, born from survival, now drive your adult decisions, and unless you become conscious of them, they will keep choosing your partners for you. So here's the question to sit with. Are you falling in love or falling into a pattern? Chapter 3. Familiar pain feels like love. Here's a question that might shake something loose. What if the feeling you've been calling love has actually just been familiar pain? What if the rush, the butterflies, the high-stakes pull toward someone wasn't chemistry, but an echo? An echo of something you lived through once, a feeling your nervous system recognizes. Not because it's healthy, but because it's home. See, the problem isn't just that we repeat patterns, it's that we romanticize them. We say things like, there was just something about them. We had a crazy connection. It felt magnetic, intense, like I've known them forever. Yeah, you have known them. Not the person, the feeling. That's emotional déjà vu. Your body recognizes the emotional roller coaster, the chasing, the anxiety, the uncertainty, because it lived it in childhood, and now it's calling it love. But that's not love, that's a trauma bond. Let's be clear about what that means. A trauma bond is a powerful attachment formed through cycles of emotional pain and reward. It's not built on trust, stability, or mutual respect. It's built on withdrawal and relief, silence and apology, neglect and attention. Over time, your brain links love with suffering because the relief feels so damn good when it finally comes. But it only comes after pain. That's why you feel addicted to people who hurt you. That's why it's so hard to leave, even when you know you should. Because you're not just bonded to the person, you're bonded to the cycle. Your nervous system learns to chase the high, the what if, the fantasy of finally being chosen by someone who keeps making you feel not enough. And here's where it gets dangerous. When a person comes along who actually sees you, who offers peace instead of chaos, who creates safety instead of drama, it feels off, flat, even boring. Because real compatibility doesn't spike your adrenaline, it doesn't feel like survival, it feels like calm. But if you've only ever known love through pain, calm feels suspicious, healthy feels uncomfortable, stable feels fake. And so you reject it, not because it's wrong, but because your body hasn't learned how to feel safe in safety yet. You go back to what feels familiar, not because it's better, but because it's yours. But here's the truth. Intensity is not intimacy, chemistry is not compatibility, and familiarity is not love. Until you separate those things, you will keep calling your triggers attraction and your wounds destiny. Chapter 4. Your brain is addicted to the pattern. Let's talk about addiction, not to substances, but to people. Because if you've ever stayed in a relationship that was clearly hurting you, but you couldn't walk away, if you've ever left someone toxic only to miss them like a drug, that wasn't weakness, it was neurology. Your brain, quite literally, got addicted to the pattern. Here's how it works. Every time you get a small hit of love, a compliment, a text back, a moment of affection, your brain releases dopamine. It's the same neurotransmitter that fires when you win at a slot machine, take a risk and get a reward, or scroll social media and find a like. Now, when those little moments of affection come at random, with no consistency, the effect is even stronger. This is called intermittent reinforcement, and it's the most powerful form of conditioning known to psychology. Think about it. When someone is always kind to you, it's nice, but predictable. When someone is cold, then warm, distant, then loving, cruel, then apologetic, your brain stays on high alert. You keep chasing the high, and your nervous system becomes hooked on the hope that this time, maybe it'll be different. But it never is, because the pattern is the reward. And here's the kicker. Even when the relationship is bad, when it's filled with anxiety, doubt, or emotional whiplash, it still feels like love. Why? Because your brain has wired that chaos equals connection. That dopamine hit is interpreted as proof this person matters. And because the reward is unpredictable, you cling even harder. The same system that makes people addicted to gambling makes you addicted to people who are inconsistent with their love. And that's why wrong still feels right. Because it doesn't feel good, it feels familiar. And your brain confuses familiarity with safety, even if that familiarity is destroying you. So when someone calm, stable, and emotionally present enters your life, your brain doesn't get the same chemical spike. It doesn't feel like love, it feels like nothing. But that nothing is actually peace. You just haven't learned to recognize it yet. Here's the truth most people never hear. You're not addicted to them. You're addicted to the cycle, the highs, the lows, the chase, the drop. And until you interrupt that pattern, until you stop craving the spike and start choosing safety, you will keep repeating the same story with different characters. Chapter 5: How to Break the Cycle. Here's the hard truth: knowing the pattern doesn't break it. Awareness is step one, not the finish line. You can understand your trauma, your attachment style, your childhood wounds, and still find yourself texting someone you know isn't good for you, still chasing, pleasing, settling, still drawn to the same type of person, hoping this time it'll be different. Because here's the secret nobody likes to talk about. Healing doesn't feel like healing at first. It feels like loss. It feels like boredom. It feels like saying no to the only kind of love your nervous system knows how to crave. That's what real change looks like. Not fireworks and freedom overnight, but quiet discomfort. Like wearing someone else's clothes. Like standing still when your whole body wants to run. Because the moment you try to choose differently, the moment you stop responding to chaos, stop chasing inconsistency, stop confusing anxiety for connection, your brain will panic. It'll whisper, "This isn't love. This feels off. You're missing something." But what you're missing is the dopamine spike, the emotional roller coaster, the thrill of survival. What you're feeling is withdrawal, not from a person, but from a pattern. And here's where most people give up. Because choosing different doesn't feel like falling in love. It feels like waiting. Like reteaching your body how to feel safe with peace, not adrenaline. It means learning to sit in the silence without filling it with chaos. It means choosing people who don't trigger your abandonment wounds, even if they don't give you butterflies. It means seeing red flags and walking away, not writing a poem about them. Breaking the cycle means breaking an identity. The version of you that only knew how to feel valuable when you were proving your worth. The version that thought love was something to earn, not something to receive. And it's going to be uncomfortable. Because choosing differently means choosing yourself in ways you never have before. It means disappointing people who benefited from your old patterns. It means being alone longer than you want to be. It means grieving the love stories you built in your head that were never real. But here's what you get in return: clarity, peace, stability, a nervous system that doesn't mistake pain for passion, and relationships where love feels like safety, not survival. So if you're asking, how do I break the cycle? It starts here. By not chasing the feeling that broke you. By sitting in the stillness long enough to realize you were never asking for too much. You were just asking the wrong people. The pattern ends with you. Chapter 6: The Truth No One Wants to Hear. Here's the truth no one wants to hear. Most people don't change, not because they can't, not because they're broken, but because change comes with a cost, and the price is high. You have to give up the story that's kept you safe. You have to let go of the familiar pain you've wrapped around yourself like armor. You have to face the terrifying reality that you've been participating in your own heartbreak. And that's hard to accept. It's easier to blame them. The narcissist, the unavailable partner, the emotionally immature ex. And yes, they may have hurt you, but you stayed. You chose. You repeated. Facing that truth, without shame, without excuses, is the beginning of real emotional growth. But here's what happens to most people. They get to this edge and turn back. Why? Because growth demands a kind of emotional death. The death of the old self. The one who chased love instead of receiving it. The one who needed to be needed. The one who confused inconsistency with passion. And even when that version of you is suffering, it's still familiar. It still feels like you. So to change, you have to become someone new. Someone who no longer finds chaos romantic. Someone who doesn't beg to be chosen. Someone who no longer feels at home in dysfunction. And that version of you, that version will lose people. People who benefited from your lack of boundaries. People who loved the old you. The one who overgave, overfunctioned, overexplained. Growth is lonely at first, because the old you attracted one kind of relationship, and the new you won't tolerate it anymore. So yes, change is uncomfortable. Yes, growth is painful, but so is staying the same. So is repeating the same heartbreak with different names. So is waking up one day and realizing you spent a decade proving your worth to people who never saw it. So is teaching your children, silently, unconsciously, that love means pain. That's the real cost. So ask yourself, are you more afraid of growing or of staying stuck? Because here's what no one tells you: the pain of growth is temporary, the pain of stagnation lasts forever. And yes, the work is hard. You'll cry, you'll grieve, you'll feel lost sometimes. But then something incredible happens. One day, peace won't feel boring, love won't feel like a battlefield, and you'll look back at the person you used to be, not with shame but with compassion. Because you'll know, you broke the cycle, you did what most people never do, and that's freedom.